Hello, how are you? Today I'm going to tell you the best way to replace cow's milk, whether it's for drinking in the morning with your breakfast or even for preparing certain recipes. Many people have been replacing cow's milk with other beverages because of allergies, intolerances, or even as a lifestyle choice. So stick around until the end because you're going to love the tips I'm about to share. First of all, if you're new here, welcome. Take a moment to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. I post new videos every day and you're going to love them. Let's talk a bit more about this topic of replacing cow's milk. You might be wondering why I'm talking about replacing cow's milk and whether I'm actually suggesting that you should replace cow's milk. Not necessarily, but many people choose not to consume cow's milk anymore. First, because they might have some kind of allergy to milk protein, some lactose intolerance, or even digestive issues. In the case of people with allergies, it is highly contraindicated because the person can have allergic reactions related to the consumption of cow's milk. Other people, such as vegans, for example, choose not to consume anything of animal origin anymore, so they have to cut out milk as well, because milk, even though it isn't meat, is still an animal product, and some types of vegetarians or vegans don't consume animal milk anymore for that reason. So, people ask me what they can substitute it with if any plant-based product, plant-based milk, is a good alternative to cow's milk. Let's talk more about that now. When we go to answer whether it's a good alternative or not, we have to separate the culinary aspect, the taste, the flavor, and the pleasure of drinking milk, that dairy beverage, from its nutritional value. Because actually, when we analyze whether a product can be substituted for cow's milk in terms of cooking, in terms of giving consistency to a recipe, in terms of providing that creaminess, even making a smoothie thicker, with a flavor different from plain water, it makes a lot of sense for you to substitute it with any plant-based milk you like. Nowadays, we have several options on the market and ones we can make at home as well. We have oat milk, coconut milk, almond milk, peanut milk, which are all nut-based, rice milk, soy milk. So, from a culinary perspective, we have plenty of options you can use as substitutes. When it comes to cooking, in most recipes, about 90% of them, if you replace cow's milk with one of these plant-based milks, your recipe will turn out just fine. I do have a caveat for you. In some store-bought plant-based milks, additional sugars are often added to enhance the flavor. In other cases, manufacturers use sweeteners, and depending on the type of sweetener chosen, it might not be suitable for use at high temperatures, which could affect both the taste and the texture of your recipe. So pay attention to that as well, because if you buy a milk that's already sweetened with artificial sweeteners and you're going to use it in a recipe like a cake, it might not be the best option for you. One option for you if you need to buy store-bought plant-based milk is to choose the versions without sugar and without sweeteners, completely neutral ones, or even better, make it at home yourself. I'll give you more tips on that later. I want to make a quick note specifically about coconut milk among all these plant-based milks I mentioned, because in terms of consistency, some store-bought versions, especially those in bottles, are much thicker than regular milk. So, if you use the same amount of coconut milk as you would cow's milk to make a smoothie, it will turn out much thicker with a lot more fat and much heavier. So, usually we dilute it. If you're going to use the bottled kind, you should use half that coconut milk and half water to make a drinkable coconut milk and to use in recipes and so on. Or you can make your own coconut milk at home, and I even have a video here on the channel explaining how to do it. Since I'm already talking about coconut milk, I'll start by discussing it in terms of nutrition, because now I'm going to explain a bit about the nutritional differences between the different types of cow's milk substitutes. I think one of the most popular options, even before it became trendy and widely talked about as it is today, has been to substitute regular milk with coconut milk. Because there are some sweet recipes and even savory ones like fish that turn out really well when we use coconut milk to prepare the dish. Even though it's called that, you know that when I say coconut milk, almond milk, oat milk, it's not really milk, it's just a name we use. It's actually a coconut beverage. It's made from coconut pulp and it's very easy to make at home. I already mentioned I have a video here explaining how to do it. I suggest you watch it because you'll never need to buy coconut milk again. It's a milk that naturally has a higher fat content and practically no carbohydrates. So it's excellent for those following a low-carb diet, a ketogenic diet, or for anyone who is monitoring their carbohydrate intake. It's a milk that's low in protein, just like the vast majority of plant-based milks. So when we compare coconut milk to cow's milk, if you substitute it in your morning smoothie, 1 cup of cow's milk for 1 cup of this diluted coconut milk I mentioned, half cup of coconut milk mixed with half cup of water, you'll basically lose almost all the protein that was in that glass of milk. So ideally, you should supplement the protein in your meal. You can supplement with some scrambled eggs, with a bit more chicken if it's an afternoon snack, a chicken sandwich. You can even supplement with added proteins such as powdered albumin, pea protein, or rice protein. In fact, I have videos about all 3 here on the channel where I talk more about them. And I'll leave the links down below in the description so you can understand the differences. But even for vegans, as you can see, it's possible to add protein. You can choose a plant-based protein to add to your shake or your milkshake as a substitute for coconut milk. This issue with protein isn't just a problem with coconut milk. I'll tell you now about other types of milk that also have little protein, and you need to be careful with this same issue. Other types of milk that follow this same pattern, though not with the exact same composition, are made from foods that are very rich in healthy fats and low in carbohydrates. As a result, they end up having more or less the same characteristics as coconut milk. Examples include peanut milk and almond milk. I have a video on the channel explaining how to make almond milk and peanut milk, and I think that peanut milk in particular is a very interesting option because peanuts are very inexpensive as long as they are of good quality and have the proper inspection seal. It's a very good food to consume, unless of course you have an allergy to nuts. In that case, you'll have other options that I'll mention later, or even coconut milk. But going back, peanut milk or almond milk is very similar in terms of nutritional composition to coconut milk, being rich in fat, low in carbohydrates, and low in protein. So in the same way, you need to be careful with the amount of protein to make sure you're not removing too much protein from your diet. Because sometimes when someone stops consuming milk, they can't reach their daily protein intake, especially if they're vegetarian or vegan, and before becoming vegan, milk was a considerable source of protein for them. So remember to add other sources. I have a really great video here on the channel about different vegan proteins, and I'll leave it down below to help you as well, in case you need more inspiration. Just as a point of curiosity, those boxed peanut and almond milks that we buy at the supermarket are already more diluted. So when we look at the nutritional information, since it's less concentrated than coconut milk, it will have much less fat. So as I already mentioned, the carbs and protein content will always be low. So usually they dilute it more, partly because of the price, and also to give it that more watery, milk-like texture that they're aiming for. Because when the food is more concentrated, you can see that coconut milk itself is thicker and fattier. So now talking about plant milks that have more carbohydrates in their composition, that's a different category altogether. We have 2 more popular options, which are oat milk and rice milk. I also have a video here on the channel explaining how to make oat milk. And I think that if you're not on a low-carb diet, if it's just a matter of allergy or lifestyle choice, oat milk is a good alternative for your daily routine because it's very easy to make, it's inexpensive, and it has many benefits. It contains the fiber from oats, has beta-glucan, which helps lower cholesterol, and the flavor is very neutral. And it has protein, because oats contain protein. Of course, it's not going to have the same amount of protein as a glass of milk, but proportionally, it's much higher in protein than a milk that doesn't have any at all. So it can be a very interesting option for you to add to your diet. Rice milk is the type of milk that is highly recommended for people who are strictly allergic and have many allergies. Sometimes they're allergic to milk protein, allergic to nuts, and aren't doing well with any milk that's high in protein. And in this case, rice milk can be an interesting option because rice protein itself is already a hypoallergenic protein. On its own, it causes very few allergic reactions, and the amount of protein typically found in these industrialized rice milks is low. I don't have a video here on the channel making rice milk yet, but if you'd like me to make one, let me know in the comments and I'll come here and make it for you, because you always have the option of making it with brown rice, which will make it even more nutritious than with white rice. It's just one more option for you. Some people aren't very interested in it because of the carbohydrate content. Of course, these options won't contain the exact same amount of calcium as cow's milk does. Many people still rely on cow's milk to meet a large portion of their daily calcium needs in their diet. However, there are plenty of other foods that are naturally very rich in calcium and are not dairy at all. Chia seeds, sardines, and dark green vegetables are just a few great examples. I actually have a really great video here on the channel specifically about non-dairy sources of calcium where I go into more detail, and I'll link it below so it can help you as well. And remember, just because you've cut milk out of your life doesn't mean you have to use a plant-based milk. You might not like it, you might find it strange, and you might prefer to use green juice or prefer to make smoothies with fruit juice or with water. That's always an option. What's most important is that your diet is balanced and nutritious so that you can be healthier and truly get all the benefits from your food. So I'll leave a playlist down below for you with all these plant-based milk recipe videos that I've already made here on the channel to help you out. And tell me, have you cut milk out of your diet? If so, what made you decide to do it, and which plant-based milk do you usually drink? Or do you simply choose not to consume any milk-like beverages at all anymore? I'd love to read your comment. Give the video a like because that really helps me out, and share it with anyone who might need it. Let's work together to spread this positive movement because that's what I want for the channel. See you next time. Bye.